And I've tried to avoid responding to some of the charges from the president-elect's Twitter feed. And what I've tried to do is just to present objective facts. And I think the objective fact that's relevant here is the intelligence community, a month before the election, came forward and presented a unanimous view, a high confidence assessment, that China was engaged in malicious cyber activity to destabilize our political system.
You said China. You meant
I'm sorry, Russia. Flipping back and forth between topics is
whatever.
tricky.
Rare misstep.
One way to tell why.
But thank you for clarifying. So, but listen, the intelligence community's assessment was unanimous and direct about Russia's malicious cyber activity.
So, I mean, can't you just say that he's wrong on both these fronts, right? Like, isn't that what you're trying to say here? That the U.S. can determine a hack even if they don't catch somebody in the act, and that the Obama administration did not conduct a false flag operation on the DNC?
Well, I will rule out that the United States in any way engage in the kind of false flag operation that a wide range of irresponsible conspiracy theorists have put forward. So we can dispense with that. But look, I've gone to great lengths to try to avoid the whole charges, countercharges. So, the president-elect has said one thing on Twitter. The 17 intelligence agencies of the United States have come forward. They came forward 2 months ago to put forward their unanimous assessment about Russia's malicious cyber activity. And I'll let you and the American people judge who's in a better position to defend their argument.
Sticking with this morning's Twitter, President-elect Trump said that costs on the F-35 project were out of control, and that he hoped to save billions on the project going forward. This is a problem, or a project that's been sort of plagued by delays and cost overruns in the past. I'm wondering if you agree that there are still issues going forward, or that if the administration's position is that costs have stabilized with the F-35.
I can't speak in detail about the F-35 program. I know that we have worked hard to institute the kinds of reforms that would limit cost overruns. What impact that would have on the F-35 program is something we can look into for you. As we discussed a little bit last week, this administration has put forward a wide range of cost-saving reforms that Republicans in Congress have either rejected or even refused to consider. Now, keep in mind, these are reforms that our military leaders say would save taxpayers money and would make the country safer. So I guess you'd have to ask Republicans why they can both claim, or how they can both claim to be fiscal conservatives and tough on national defense when they're blocking reforms that would save taxpayer dollars and make the country safer. That's hard to reconcile. It might lead one to conclude that they're actually more focused on politics and obstructing the agenda of the Democratic president than they are on actually trying to save taxpayers money or keep the country safe.
Finally, Vice President for Aetna today was testifying about the proposed merger, and said that his company should have withdrawn from all of the Obamacare marketplaces because the program wasn't economically viable. There's obviously been some question about whether they did so for reasons surrounding this merger, but I'm wondering, this is something that he said under oath, whether you would dispute that, and whether, if a major insurer is willing to say this in, a testimony at a trial, what that kind of says about the overall health of the Obamacare program.
I didn't see the entirety of his testimony, and obviously I'm going to allow business executives to make whatever business decisions they believe is in the best interest of their company and their shareholders. I think I'd just point out that since the Affordable Care Act went into effect, stock prices of most healthcare companies have gone up in some cases quite substantially. Many health insurance companies have been able to effectively provide coverage to the marketplace that has been good for their company's bottom line and good for their company's shareholders. They've also been good for the United States of America. 20 million more Americans have access to quality, affordable health insurance. The growth in healthcare costs is at or near all-time lows. So I think the benefits of our approach speaks for itself when you consider the way that millions of Americans have benefited from healthcare reform under President Obama. And we've been able to design a reform of the private health insurance market in a way that ends up being both good for customers, but also good for providers as well. Okay, Gardner.
Josh, what does it mean that Trump has upended two of the most sensitive relationships that the U.S. has, Russia and China?
Well, again, President Obama has obviously worked hard to manage those relationships in a way